Okay, so I did a few tests trying to get my audio to work, so hopefully this works pretty well. Um, so the point of this video, if you know me, you know I've been going through some changes in my life, and I think it's time that I rebrand my online presence, because I've always wanted to be an influencer in the first place, but I've never taken it seriously, and I never really meant anything to me other than to just upload funny things or something. And the older I get, the more I have a reason to have an online presence. And you know what they say, the more you're in isolation, the crazier you get, or whatever. Yes, I agree with that, and I think I've learned how. But besides that, it's like I think that there is good in this world, and I think that there are plenty of people that agree with me, but maybe have the feeling that it's not, right? So I kind of want to start talking. I really want to start talking and being straightforward with anybody that happens upon my stuff. So kind of sort of back in the day, I would always hide my intellect and what I cared about, sort of as a way to, I don't know, cater to more people understanding me and the way that I am from a simple point of view. But as I've grown up, I've tried to fight the urge to just go straight crazy, right, in front of people. But now I'm kind of at the point where it's like, okay, well, my crazy is in alignment with what I think, so it's time to start talking. Anyway, I'm going to be making a new channel and new profiles under the item, the virtue, or not the view, or not something that could be copyrighted. I have to make sure, but it's the virtue medium, right? So that middle ground between differences of character, or something like the most middle, right? And sort of the idea is that there's always extremes, right? You got the far left, the far right. You have the most devout religious people and the least caring of spirituality, atheistic, scientific people, right? And that's not to say anything about anyone, right? But it's the kind of thing where I think a lot more people are in the middle. And I don't mean in the middle as in smack dab in the middle. I mean kind of less intentful about their positions. And what I mean by that is that a lot of us have our opinions, right? But we don't really define ourselves in why so much. They're more characterized and expressed in public, right? Rather than being I care about this and this is why, we tend to just be well, this is the only thing that matters. And I think that's more of the sense of people trying to keep to themselves, right? And not really wanting to spend time on someone else, because they say nobody cares about you like you do, something like that. But anyway, let me go through this list because I'm skipping ahead. I'm already talking about things at the end here. So the reason I'm doing this, or the way that I'm framing this, is inspired by recent current events in the media and in public, right? And I don't know, there's doomsdayists, and it's been like that for a long time, and it's the sort of thing where it's yeah, I feel that way, man, but we need to do something about it instead of I don't know, kind of hoping somebody will do it for us, right? So that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing it for me. So there's several projects that I want to work on with this new rebranding that I'm doing. I need to get back into live streaming. It's controversial as to which platform I want to run on, mainly because I don't know the TOS on everything, and I don't know sort of like the audience difference between them. So I'm gonna need to spend time on that first, right? At least for the sake of this. And I want to enhance my education through this in the sense that, like, everything that I learn, I'm going to be kind of how do you call this, indexing in my video platform, right? Where kind of like I show the audience what I'm learning and how it can benefit both of us, right? Right, and then sort of I want to work on my spirituality through this in a sense, right? Because like I don't necessarily have like super concrete facts about the way spirituality works, but I have a lot of experience. Because I think that's kind of the crux of spirituality, is that like no matter how much you dive into it, it's kind of like you're swimming in an ocean, you know? Like it's nothing is true, but everything is true at the same time, kind of thing. So I want to sort of align myself with the precepts and carings and devotions that I have, right? So that's going to be part of the reason as to what I'm going to be doing on this. I'm writing a book, which I will show in a later video, sort of like, you know, what's been going on with that and how I want to sort of like make that like a long-term thing, so that way I can kind of keep myself aligned with what I'm trying to do. Sort of, I'm being very vague here, but like that book is going to be my magnum opus for this project, essentially, as best I can with it anyway. So I want to work on skills such as 3D rendering, rigging, art, game development, coding, and video production, right? And then even finding an audience, right? Oh, that's not a skill, but anyway, I skipped myself. Yeah, so I essentially want to take everyone along on my like learning journey, and what that means is that one, I'm going to have to sort of create what is essentially like a curriculum for myself in each of these, and I'm going to need to make sure to explain what I'm thinking while I'm doing it and why I'm doing it and what I've learned as of that moment that I'm doing it, that kind of thing, right? I kind of want to make videos on video production, sort of like how to use the stupid apps that I use. Maybe not like tutorials, but like maybe like just kind of like clips of like things that I learn and things that I freak out about because I didn't know, or you know, stuff like that. I don't know how prospective that is, but I do want to at least work on those skills while I'm doing what I'm going to be doing. Alright, so this is kind of a good way to get the idea in your head about what kind of work I'm going to be doing. The Greek philosopher Aristotle had this idea of two extremes being a unanimous, we can call it anomaly or phenomenon that occurs with both logic and you know, sort of like how the world wants to perform, right? Whether that's hot, cold, fast, slow, you know, mean, kind, easy, hard, soft, rigid, you know, extremes, right? Whether it's in our humanity or in the larger design. And he would say that the middle ground is the virtue, right? So the middle ground, the very middle, is where you find virtues. And I'm not really sure what that means insofar as physical reality, right? But maybe that could mean like the Goldilocks zone that the Earth is in, so that life can thrive, you know, things like that. But at least when it came to human beings, we had to hold ourselves to a sort of like a simulation of reality, right? So, how do you put this? If we saw a bunch of people around us that are like super, super unkind, and then a bunch of people that were overly kind and it ruined them, right? And then what we should hold ourselves in is that middle ground. So that's how he would describe it, is essentially there is only one simple way to live, and everyone has different extremes, right? But you still have to find that middle ground. So that was his argument with his philosophy there. So some design aspects with all of these things in mind. I say it a little bit later, right? Like, I want to do VTubing, so maybe not the same kind of VTubing. I want to see if I can find my own space. Maybe I'll start with normal VTubing, something like that, right? But so the character that I will inhabit is essentially going to have tattoos that are the extremes, right? So you're going to have squares and circles. You know, you're going to have maybe some form of the rainbow just on a corner, so that way it's not like controversial or anything. Obviously, this character is going to look evil and divine at the same time. This character is going to have maybe a sense of both male and feminine archetypes part of the design. It's going to be a very regal and poor character. You know, that's kind of the idea with the design of the character, the original character that I'll be inhabiting. What this character is going to do, right, is going to come from sort of a place of, I like the idea of fireside chats, right? Like, one of the presidents, I'm pretty sure it was Roosevelt, but I'm not entirely sure, Franklin Roosevelt, the fireside chats that the president basically sat down and just talked on the radio with the public, make sure everyone's doing okay, make sure everyone's understanding what's going on in the world and what his opinion was, right? So that's kind of the idea with the format. Sort of like I'm doing now, maybe, sort of, something like that. And right, so it's going to be a live streaming sort of service, and it's going to be sort of a thing to reference for me and for hopefully other people. So that's kind of the idea. Obviously, the plan moving forward, I said, was VTubing, streaming. But what that means is like I'm going to have to go into the internet and find, like, I don't know, commissions for the design, whether that's the character or maybe somebody to set up my OBS for me on Fiverr. I don't know, you know, something like that. Or even making the schedule for me, you know, shit like that. That's probably my best bet. I do need to find, like, courses on, you know, game dev, you know, video production, those things, coding. Give me one sec, I have to sneeze. Okay, hopefully you didn't hear that. Yeah, anyway, so something that I've thought about, right, at least recently, coming up to this idea, was that I need to find a way to be productive. And one of the issues that I've always had is that if you take a look at this, I'm a very modular PC user, so I like to plug and play. I like to have everything available at the same time, and I might need to make a new workstation PC just to keep it separated and have everything organized for me a little bit better, right? So at least with the audience, I would hope to instill the foundation of morality, future sight, and curiosity, right? Like, it doesn't matter what kind of person you are, right? Even if you, like, this is the kind of idea that, like, sinning is forgivable, right? Like, I don't care what kind of person you are at all. And what I want, though, is that I would inspire you to invest both in yourself and your community and the closest people to you. Invest hard, not just when it's convenient. Invest all the time, right? And to be mindful of those things. So here's my contract for the audience, the public, right? I, as the producer of my content, will strive to keep vibes of creativity and kindness in my work, to inspire the next generation to come for better before worse, and when wrong, to devote myself to the truth first and foremost. So what that means is, though, is that I have to acknowledge that we are going to be talking about very difficult things. And I also ask that the audience would be open to the idea of thick skin, right? Like, not everyone is going to think that another person's opinions are valid, right? And not everyone's going to come to the conclusion that, like, they should treat others with kindness. Like, that's kind of like what happens on the internet is, you know, we kind of create our own stereotypes and subgroups, right? So we just be aware of that. That's what I want. I kind of dipped my toes into the values and opinions thing. We could all argue all day, but I don't think that's what I want. I want a constructive conversation along with the audience at all times. I don't necessarily think that that's up to judgment per se, but that's a trial and error thing, and I need to be careful not to over focus on maybe the wrongdoings of a certain part of the internet in my topics and in my actions. So that I'll keep in mind. Yeah, anyway, these are my intentions, right? I only want to produce meaningful content to myself. I don't necessarily want to sit here and say that I know everything, and I don't necessarily want to sit here and make you feel that way. I want to produce some sort of content that, like, shows my character more than anything else, right? I'm not trying to fool myself, let alone somebody else, right? So I have to be very careful to think it through what I'm producing. That's kind of the whole ordeal. And then on top of that, you know, if I inspire someone, or I teach somebody something, or maybe just help somebody think something through that they didn't want to, or couldn't by virtue of inexperience, or, you know, I hope I can also gain some of that from the audience. You know, I hope that it would actually, like, benefit both of us. So, yeah, I'm doing some rebranding. I hope that I find you well. And if you're interested to come along, I will be leaving a link to both this document to refer to if you need to for some reason, or a link to the new channel and some openings to the social media that I make. Yeah. I think that'll be it. Take it easy now.